go. So this session is going to be recorded, just so you are aware.
Okay,
Welcome.
thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, thanks.
Okay. So before we get into anything personal, I just want to cover off our informed consent.
Okay,
And so we have our form that's outlining confidentiality. Everything that we say to each other today is fully confidential and won't leave this room.
okay,
And we're just having you sign a release of information so that information can be shared with other agencies should we be able to provide supports for you at outside agencies.
okay,
And then the only time that there would ever be any sort of breach of confidentiality would be if we felt you were at risk of harming yourself or others,
okay,
or if there was any suspicion of child abuse or child neglect, and if records and information was subpoenaed by the court.
okay,
But aside from that, again, everything's confidential, it's a safe space, and we want you to talk openly and freely as you can.
okay.
That's your information. Excellent.
What's the date today?
November 15th.
Thanks.
Wonderful. So let's talk about our current picture here right now. What do things look like? What are we dealing with? What's going on in your world?
Okay, so I've just recently gone back to school and it's incredibly overwhelming
Mhm.
between balancing home life and animal life and school life, trying to juggle all the bits. In the past, I've, occasionally done gummies, cannabis,
Mhm.
here and there, but I'm feeling like more and more I want to do more of it and feeling like it's maybe becoming a problem.
Okay. And so you're feeling that right now your possible cannabis usage or THC usage is higher than has been in the past?
Yes.
And are you at a level, how would you describe your comfort level? Like you're indicating that you're not feeling as comfortable with your usage at this time. Where on a scale of 1 to 10 are we if 10 is extremely uncomfortable and with full concern?
Maybe a 7 or an 8.
Okay, so that's still quite high.
Yeah,
So definitely something we can address and work through.
okay,
Obviously I don't have any doubt that you have the tools already within you to master dealing with this situation. So let's just talk through a little bit about, I guess, how exactly that's making you feel right now. What are the emotions that are coming along with this awareness of your usage increasing?
I guess probably a lack of control,
Okay.
Because I feel like there's so many moving parts that I'm trying to keep in order. That makes me feel out of control. But then when I add in the want to use all the time, it makes me feel like that's even less in control.
Okay. And so you're feeling out of control because of so many moving parts in your life, but yet the possible addiction piece or the usage of substances is making you also feel out of control. And so is there an internal struggle there in terms of it's something you're wanting to do and then you're wishing you didn't do?
Yeah,
And so there's a push and pull within your emotional.
yeah, there's like the two little people on my shoulder.
Right.
One saying, okay, you can do it without, you should do it without, you can do this. And then the other side saying, no, do it, it'll help it, it'll make it feel better, you'll be more relaxed, and then you'll be able to cope with everything. And then this one says, no, don't do it, and back and forth.
Okay. And so you had said it's something you've done in the past. What has been your past history? So how long have you used the substance, if throughout your life?
Probably just on and off, like nothing regular, no regular use. Sort of, I don't drink, so if people were having drinks, I would maybe have a gummy, something like that.
So you're saying maybe as a social
Yeah.
tool.
Whereas now, I guess I like that feeling that I would get, and I wanna get that feeling more often, because I'm feeling out of control over the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
I wanna have that relaxation, so I want it more.
So I was going to ask you, what is the feeling that you're having that's giving you a feeling of control?
I think it's more that being able to let go of wanting to be in control, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, I want to be in control all the time, but then I have the gummy and it relaxes me, and then I don't feel like I have to be in control. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. So it has been a coping tool for you, but maybe not the coping tool you're wanting to rely on going forward.
Yeah, I guess before it was like you said, it was social, and now it's, I find myself going to school and I wanna have one first thing in the morning because I know that the day is going to be crazy, as opposed to before it was like, okay, it was evening, I was at home, and it was fine. Whereas now I feel like I want it to make it through the day.
Okay. And so you're highlighting sort of how you're wanting to feel in the future. So why don't we just move a little bit into talking about what would you prefer your situation to look like versus what it actually looks like right now?
Okay.
What would an ideal day in your life look like?
I guess there's two parts to it. There'd be the usage part would go back to being just social type use, and then there's the chaos overwhelm side would be more relaxed. Like I wouldn't feel so overwhelmed.
Okay. And so you've used the word overwhelmed quite a bit, and so that is, where exactly specifically do you feel that is stemming from? So the overwhelmingness is stemming from being triggered by which?
I would say the two parts are like home, family, taking care of the kids, and school. Those two parts.
Right.
Where I want to be a good mom and do that, but I also want to do well at school.
And sometimes maybe it feels like you can do each one very well, but when you look at doing them both at the same time, that's where emotions start to...
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so it's important to identify what type of emotions you're dealing with, and especially when we're looking at where we want to get to. So how would you say would be like your top two feelings in a day right now, and what would you prefer your top two feelings to be?
In relation to the overwhelm or in relation to the drugs?
So I'm going to say in relation to the overwhelm, because the drugs is being used as a coping mechanism.
Okay.
So in terms of the overwhelm,
top two feelings. Fear and panic.
mm-hmm. Okay. So I hear you saying that, having to combine those two worlds of parenting and student can be terrifying.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so that's where the substance is coming in.
Yes.
Okay. So let's set some goals and think about how we can, what would you prefer your picture to look like? So where do you think how much usage would you prefer to get to versus where you are right now? That would make you feel that you're starting to make some progress and to be able to have some pride in yourself, acknowledging that you're taking steps.
I think ideally there would be no usage, but definitely going back to just like on the weekend or like a social, people are having a drink, that kind of thing.
Okay. And so you want to be able to continue having the substance as something that can be an enjoyable factor versus something that you are relying on to alleviate negative factors.
Yes,
Okay.
because right now I see it almost as like a need and a negative, and it's pulling away versus a positive of we're having a good time, we're gonna add this on and have some fun.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And so that's an interesting concept, and if we just explore that a little further, you're talking about how the same thing can be something that's enjoyable and positive versus the exact same thing can be negative and shameful even, because of the emotions that we're connecting with it.
Right, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So do you see that, because you have positive feelings and emotions around social time with family and friends, that then usage during those times is a positive experience?
Yeah.
Versus you're feeling very overwhelmed about combining these two worlds, and so usage as a coping tool, you now see it as a negative and with shame.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
there's like a disconnect there.
And so I think you have to look at the narrative that, is you're telling yourself in your mind. Ideally, we will discuss some coping mechanisms and some ways to, your ideal goal is to get to a non-usage point.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna work towards that.
Okay.
But also, just show yourself a little bit of grace and understanding that it's something that you have always done periodically throughout your life without any shame, and nor should you, that it's, something that you're legal of choice to do. But now you're allowing it to be shadowed with the shame and the fear.
Right.
Just because it's coming from the negative feelings of trying to combine school and work.
Right.
So something that was a positive occasional piece in your life is now a negative, little bit more frequent piece in your life.
Okay.
So what sort of steps do you think you can take to, or what sort of steps are you wanting to take to get to where we can look at reducing the usage? And we can work through that. I have some ideas. I'm just wondering where you're starting at.
I think I feel like the way you're explaining it is, so I guess I thought maybe it was the use that's the problem, but I actually when I'm listening to you, it sounds more like the family and school is causing the use. So maybe if we look at how to manage the family and school to reduce some of the feelings around that, it would help.
Excellent, yeah, absolutely, because the combination there is the trigger.
Right.
So rather than only focusing on the usage, which we still can do, but you're right, we do need to also look at what is the trigger.
Right.
And then how do we reduce that fear in the first place from within you.
Right.
So looking at, as we've sort of just touched on there, changing the narrative. So it's important to constantly have self-talk going on in your mind. If you are talking to yourself all day long in your own mind, that's a perfectly healthy thing to do.
That's not a crazy thing?
That's not a crazy thing. that is extremely healthy, based on the narratives that you're telling yourself. So look at the positives of what you are accomplishing. As much as it's being difficult to combine those two worlds, the reality is you are doing it. Has everything, what does home life look like right now? Has it completely fallen apart?
No, my husband is definitely helping a lot more than before, so that's a huge help.
And school, where do you feel your successes or failures? Do you feel that you are accomplishing what you're capable?
Yeah, I'm doing, like, everything I've done has been good. I think it's, coming up to the end of the semester, and there are, I don't know, 6 finals and however many papers and everything we have to do. I think it's almost looking at that, like, looming down the hall. I think that's the scariest part.
Right. So what about chunking that up into smaller pieces? I'm sure you've heard the saying, how do you eat an elephant?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so you eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Okay.
So that's how we're gonna deal with balancing mom and student worlds.
Okay.
So you have 6 exams or assignments coming up. Let's chunk that out into pieces that you can visualize and be able to plan for. And so it becomes part of, in your calendar, in your day, I'm going to have an exam in this week, and I know I'm gonna need at least probably a good 4 or 5 days of review before it. Excuse me. So I'm gonna mark out in my calendar, these 5 days is going to be review for Class A.
Okay.
And then we're going to, again, with all your other assignments, so each day you don't have to be thinking about the whole picture of, oh, I have all of this to do. I just look at my calendar for what is for today. Today I'm supposed to work on the assignment for Class C.
Okay.
Because that's how I've organized my time. So that's today I'm just gonna worry about my assignment for Class C.
Okay.
And tomorrow when I'm supposed to study for Class D, then that's what I'll do. And overall, I've planned my time efficiently. I will be able to manage all those pieces.
Okay, yeah.
Does that sound like something that would work for you?
It does, yeah. I think, like, that totally makes sense. I think looking at the activity of doing that scares me.
Right, and so I task you with that as homework.
Right.
That we can review next week. As to sort of how you can start looking at chunking out and planning out your time.
Okay.
For effective time use, just so the stress levels will immediately reduce.
Okay.
With regards to the usage, you say that you are using gummies.
Yeah.
So it's known that gummies can have the longest lasting effect of the THC.
Okay.
So maybe if we look at changing the route of administration.
Okay.
And if you're finding that you're still needing a little bit of cannabis use as a coping tool with all the balancing that's going on, I think it's okay to give yourself grace that you're doing that.
Yeah.
But maybe let's see if we can find steps towards a healthier or less use means. Okay. So route of administration, the one you're doing is taking the longest, whereas say inhalation, so if you were smoking, is the quickest. It's an immediate and doesn't last very long.
Oh, okay.
And so it's more, might be something worth a try to see if that change helps you, so at least you're not experiencing it for such a prolonged period.
Okay.
The high and the because then that seems like you're relying on it. It becomes that addiction or that tool of, I'm high for 6 hours.
Right.
Versus I'm high for 30 minutes.
Okay, so it's like, take it, feel it, and then not,
Let it go.
right,
Right.
okay,
And you can slowly phase that out, and again, your usage, so if you're smoking a gram a day, then next week we're gonna pull that back to 3/4 of a gram,
okay,
and then a 1/2 gram,
okay,
and, wean to a point where you may not even really feel that you want it at all.
okay,
And each step is better for your health,
right,
which is important, and that automatically in tune then will be better for your mental health,
okay,
and make the two pieces that you're juggling help fit together even better.
okay,
I'm also gonna recommend that rather than using THC, maybe switching to CBD.
oh,
Which is-
what's the difference?
So CBD doesn't have a psychoactive ingredient in it, so
Okay.
it's not the same high, it's more of a relaxation.
Oh, okay,
It's more of the natural derivative of the plant.
okay,
So if you're using it at night as a means to just calm from the day
okay,
and go to bed sort of clearer-minded,
okay,
versus going to bed high,
right,
and all of the chaos is still sort of maybe feeling better,
yeah,
but still running all around because you're on a high, versus, you can use as a coping mechanism, but in a healthier way. You're not getting the psychoactive ingredients, you're not getting the immense high and the high for such a long period,
right,
but we're taking steps to sort of
and would
still
it,
have a coping skill, but that is less harmful.
would it kinda help slow my brain down?
Yes,
Okay. Okay,
yes, so CBD is what medical marijuana is. It's
Oh,
what
okay.
physicians will prescribe because it does not have psychoactive ingredient.
okay,
So, it helps with pain, it helps with relaxation, it helps
Okay.
with anxiety, just the central nervous system as a whole.
okay,
So I think you've really made some huge steps today.
okay,
I'm really proud of you. You've kind of broken through and realized the problem is not necessarily substance.
Right.
The problem is more managing day to day. And so I task you with that homework to organize.
Can you just, because my brain is always running,
Of course.
can you just sort of go over my homework with me again?
Absolutely. So let's look at, so when you go home, have a look at what are the major things you have between now and end of semester.
Okay,
So, as an example, let's say there's 6,
okay,
and let's look at how many weeks are left. So if we have 10 weeks left of the semester,
yeah,
then you're looking at, okay, I have more than a week, I have like a week and a half per
right,
thing that I can allocate some time to. So then based on what's coming due first is where you'll fit it in.
okay,
So if you're looking at, okay, the first thing coming up is going to be an essay or a paper that's due 3 weeks from now, then let's schedule that in the next few days,
okay,
where you do have some time that you've set maybe as homework time or study time. Let's make it more specific and say, okay, this is literally just going to be essay writing time for class B.
right, okay,
And then next, I have a midterm in class A, I know I'm gonna need to study
okay,
a good 5 hours, so then we're gonna look at, okay, where's the next set of 5 hours that we can schedule in.
so it's almost like a puzzle,
Almost like a puzzle.
okay,
But it takes that relief of, I have all these things to do, and there's so much work to get them all done, and how am I gonna cram all of that into my life?
right,
We're gonna lay that out visually on paper,
okay,
and then each day, you're just gonna worry about what is today.
okay,
you're gonna open up your calendar the night before and you're gonna go, okay, tomorrow I just have to work on a paper,
Mhm.
take the kids to school, get some groceries, go to the barn. And so that's how my day is gonna look.
Okay,
Not, oh my goodness, I can't handle the idea of this paper.
yeah.
We're just gonna worry about, today is 2
What's on
hours,
the calendar.
2 hours doing some research on the paper, kids to school,
Yeah.
go to the things that we need to do, and so your day is balanced.
Okay,
And then, secondarily, maybe looking at changing your, route of administration
okay,
and also the content of,
Okay.
of the cannabis that you are
Okay.
consuming.
okay,
And you may find as you chunk down and sort of help to mold these two portions of your life together
yeah,
more cohesively, then that need for that coping tool may not even exist as much. You may find that that slowly starts to go away
okay, yeah,
because of,
I would like that.
yes. And so we'll keep touch on that in future sessions,
Okay.
and, if that's the case, then fantastic, and if not, we can look at more further coping skills and changes we can make to get to a point of complete elimination.
Okay,
But I'm very proud of you for what you're doing, give yourself grace, please, just to acknowledge on a whole that things are difficult, and that I am maybe using a negative coping skill is a huge self-awareness
okay,
that many people will never even get to. So the fact that you've made that step and gone that far is I'm very proud of you for that.
okay,
So you should give yourself a little pat on the back.
thank you.
And, life isn't easy. It just isn't.
Yeah,
And so we have to just use some self-care.
okay,
Take a deep breath.
go hug my horse.
Oh, what a great, what a great self-care.
Unless
Yes.
he tries to bite me, then not so much.
Yeah, so that's even better than a breathing technique.
Yes.
Go hug your horse. Okay, well, I hope, is there anything else that you wanna talk about or cover before we come to the end of our time?
I don't think so, I'm kinda looking forward to working on my calendar.
Okay, great.
Perfect.
Okay, see you next week.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.